really have much else to say about New Delhi other than it does exactly what it says on the packet, as Jonathan Preston would say. It's a song which has Indian flavour to it. It's kind of chintzy, it doesn't quite hold up, but you can see what they were going for at the time, and with it being them, I don't think it really caused any offence.
I mean, it's a very experimental sounding track for Madness, probably their most up to that point, especially using the Indian instruments on it. And I don't know whether there might have been a little bit of a Beatles influence going on with, some of the George Harrison sitar kind of stuff that the Beatles did later on. But yeah, very, very different sounding track. There's a lyric in it which always used to intrigue me as a kid. I mean, the thing with Madness, frustratingly, they never include the lyrics in their albums. There was never a lyric sheet, so you had to go and buy the official songbook with all the. I mean, I couldn't play an instrument, but I had to buy all this sort of sheet music to get the lyrics because you couldn't always understand them. But something about a camel from the Dhangra, which I can't even pronounce, but it's a city in India. I think it begins DHA and something. So that always intrigued me. Like, what are we talking about? Yeah. But I've since looked it up, and it is a city in India. So yeah, it's very ambitious. And I'd say there's the fake Indian accents towards the end, which I think is Carl. I'm not sure.
Madness were affectionately regarded, weren't they? They were really the darlings of the British pop scene. They were very popular with schoolboys and mums, and they were just kind of like these scallywags who had a lot of hits. And when we say a lot of hits, we mean a lot of hits. 81 was a blockbusting year for them with maybe 5 top 10 records, including Return of the Lost Palmers 7, Shut Up, Grey Day, It Must Be Love. The list goes on and on. Embarrassment, which tackled, a fairly controversial subject. In 82, for some reason, after It Must Be Love, which was a real great moment for them, things, for me, started to get a little wonky. I didn't have as much of a problem with driving in my car. I did find, I thought that it was great for the kids and the fans that liked that kind of humour that they had. And it sort of all tied in for me with the Morris Minor into almost like it ain't a half, some mothers do have them kind of, sensibility of being British and having a Morris Minor and the thing that it breaks down and then Our House, which we've already talked about. This, to me, wasn't much more an experimental style of an album for Madness, and it did really start to veer away from this, I guess what must have been quite tedious for them, for grown men having basically to pander to school-age boys all the time, must have been a very tiring thing. I don't know what kind of age group they were at this point. I'm thinking maybe late 20s, but it was It was an interesting experience listening to this album because it was clear that they were fed up with the hijinks and the antics from where I sat. For this reason, the rest of the tracks on the album, I'm probably going to have Neil do most of the talking on them. There is nothing really that stands out for me amongst these other tracks. Sunday Morning, this obsession with Sunday Morning and the keep repeating Sunday Morning, I didn't quite understand what the point of that was. Mr. Speaker Gets the Word, it sort of ties in with their humour, this kind of schoolboy antics, kind of trying to be funny, not, in my book, quite making it amusing. I didn't find this album funny, really. I think that they'd kind of gone past it. I thought Driving in My Car was probably the last amusing single from them. I couldn't stand House of Fun, and what I couldn't stand even more was schoolboys coming up to me and telling me that, you know what House of Fun's about, right? It's about them going into the chemist for Johnny's, and and the whole excitement that boys had about this track was just ridiculous. I'm getting really excited about Suggs going in for a packet of Durex really didn't quite float my boat.
He was still only 21 at that point, which is
wow.
It's quite unbelievable, isn't it, when you think it seemed like they'd been around for ages. I mean, they'd only been around 3 years because the first album was 79, but Suggs was still only 21. I think Woody was a similar age, and the oldest member was probably maybe Chrissy. And Chrissy Boy's the oldest, he might have been 24, 25 or something like that. So yeah, you sort of look back and you think they were unbelievably young to have progressed so far in such a short space of time. But you said about 1982, I mean, I like Cardiac Arrest as a track on the album 7. It did seem an odd choice for a single, and I believe some DJs refused to play it because of the subject matter. So because of the heart attack references, and but I think it sort of shows that they'd already started to, I suppose they'd dealt with serious subject matters, because you said about embarrassment as well, which Lee wrote about his sister's pregnancy, that she was going to have a mixed race baby, and the sort of neighbourhood's attitude towards that. So even as as early as the second album, they were sort of tackling quite sort of tricky subjects. But House of Fun, a bit of a throwaway song, as you say, and I remember those conversations with kids, I guess what it's about and all this, But I mean, I liked it at the time. I liked driving in my car at the time, But that was the thing with Madness, that they were never the same. One of the things I liked about them was the music was so varied. You never knew what they were going to come up with next. They didn't kind of stay. It could have been so easy for them just to stay as a ska band, but they moved on very quickly from that. So I think that was what kind of endeared me to them, that they did seem like, and they were so different to anything else around. I mean, I never got into the Specials. I mean, I love the Specials now and that kind of two-tone scene, but it didn't,
No, at the
really
time, well, and it was controversial. I mean, the material, really. I mean, Too Much Too Young. I mean, really, I mean, it was not exactly a glowing reference for adulthood, was it? I mean, they really were not happy with which is why when we reviewed ABC, that's why ABC and Haircut 100 picked up steam in such a short space of time, because it was the first group of guys that actually weren't whinging. All throughout 81, it was great songs. There was a little whimsical with, say, OMD Souvenir, but really no kind of, it was just interesting to me. What were your impressions of the tracks Sunday Morning and Mr. Speaker Gets the Word, for examples? How did you feel about those songs?
Neither of them are my favourite tracks from the album, but I do like them. Sunday Morning, I kind of like. I like the way it fades in gently at the beginning. Some great sort of piano playing from Mike Barson as normal. I kind of see what you mean about the repetition. Because they do tend to sing the title quite a lot on Sunday Best, and these towards the fade out, the kind of repetition of the refrain. I think Sunday lunch awaits, sort of like to fade kind of thing. I can understand that does get a bit repetitive as well, but I still think it's a good track, and it was written by Woody, the drummer, who wasn't known for being. I mean, most members of Madness did have a go at writing songs, but Woody was the one who tended not to bother as much as the others. But I think I don't think it was his first attempt, but he wrote it all by himself, so I think he did a good job with them. Mr. Speaker is probably one of the tracks that harked back quite, in some ways to the sort of nuttiness, especially the verses are kind of quite jaunty with the sax, and I can see that probably did appeal to some of the older fans who were perhaps put off by some of the other tracks on it. But yeah, still a good track for me. But as I say, it's not a standout track at all, really.